Whether you are an international entrepreneur from India, Dubai, or any part of the globe, and you're looking to expand your business into Canadian market, we just have the two experts in our studio today. Matrix, a dynamic consulting firm. We have the two co-founders, Dave and Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy and Dave, welcome to ATN.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Technology plays a critical role in today's startups. What are some common tech-related challenges international entrepreneur faces in today's launching in business in Canada?
Good question. What we've realized over the last 5 years is these international entrepreneurs, they are developing their software back home. And we've dealt with entrepreneurs who've been developing software in places like India, Iran, Singapore, for that matter, Malaysia, and these regions. So the cost of production and cost of development of a code and a technology is on the lower side. They are able to manage the cost with the money they have. So now, cut to North America, not just about Canada, but cut to North America, what tends to happen is that the cost of production goes up. Mm-hmm. Because of the hourly wages of the developers. And these are talented developers, and they are entitled to charge what they want to charge. But then what tends to happen is the reality check is hard for these startups. Mm-hmm. Because suddenly you see a spike in production cost. Mm-hmm. So that is something the startups struggle to manage. And we have figured out a way to bridge that gap for them, to help them manage the deliverables and also help them develop the software at a cost that works out for both parties.
Okay, so just to elaborate a little bit more to that, when you're saying you help them in establishing or developing a specific software for their requirements for their business, now do you also help business entrepreneurs with the copyright of those softwares?
So what tends to happen is that just for clarity, when a software is developed, it automatically, and if it's proprietary, it automatically attracts copyright. Except you'll have to do certain formalities, which gets done by our lawyers. So we rely on our intellectual property counsel to ensure that they look at the code base, assess the code, and then they file for a copyright so that the copyright is secure regardless of where it's exported.
So Dave, let's say if an entrepreneur reaches you and they want to start up a business in Canada, and they will have to consult with you. You have to sit down with them to discuss the requirement for their software has to be created, or how does it work?
So it's not just the software. Like software becomes the secondary conversation.
Okay.
But the primary conversation here is that in what capacity are they trying to move here? Mm-hmm. Like, are they trying to establish a completely new entity? Are they trying to establish a subsidiary? Are they trying to establish a branch? So so that conversation needs to be had first, even before we get into the software piece. But we do get into the software piece, and we have to get it validated through our experts. And also because if the software is coming from another region, we'll have to also make sure that how the rights of that software are getting assigned to the entity that's being created in Canada. So, and our lawyers, they intervene and they help us find the right solution, which we discuss with the clients.
Okay. Now, talking about the legal structure and legalities, coming to you here, Mr. Roy, about the legal structuring in Canada. You help all the immigrant entrepreneurs with setting up the business based on the legalities, startup legalities in Canada. How do you do that?
So when we are talking about the legal system, and the legalities basically. So regardless whether it's a startup company or it's an established company which is few years old already, that remains constant. That particular the legal aspect remains constant. So, and when we are talking about uh, the the laws that is applicable, it is important because there are regulations which varies from one jurisdiction to the other. Some jurisdiction, like where they have been already operating in a particular jurisdiction which is outside Canada, maybe there are certain regulations that they have already taken or they are already comfortable with. However, like those regulations may not have much of sanctity in Canada. There are regulations like from even for the incorporations, the regulations and the procedures are way different than which is there in their home country. So looking into those processes, those procedures, and how well they qualify for those things, and what are the documents and information that requires for them to establish or incorporate their company in Canada. Not only that, also understanding like what are the other regulations or rules that comes into play, because if there is it's a product, it's a work product, is like something where you're extracting also information from the citizens or the general public, then the PPDA does come into play. That gets triggered as well. So so those are the regulations that needs to be taken into consideration. Also from the banking standpoint, you need to also set up banks, and the AML compliances are also there, like the anti-money laundering compliances. Those needs to be also factored, and those licenses needs to be procured well in advance before you kickstart your business in Canada, because once you have already started your business, then automatically you are under the radar or the purview of the legal system of Canada. If you have not already complied with it, then you cannot just go back and ratify that. So you need to first comply with those things. So we have a set process where we take into consideration the work product. We also understand like what are the regions that they are focusing on, whether the idea is only for Canada or like the entirety of North America. Based on that, we factor the regulations, the rules, the extent guidelines, and the laws that would be applicable, and based on that, we file for the necessary regulations, necessary forms, necessary documents, which makes them like operate in Canada and North America seamlessly.
So, generally speaking, the corporate laws, corporate rules, and regulations, every country has a different regulations.
So, well, that's a good question, but it's a tricky one, because like there are two sets of laws. Like fundamentally, I'm saying one is the common law, one is the civil law. So when we are talking about the common law, yes, the pith and substance would remain the same, but like what changes is the sections, the way that has been codified. Okay, the approach towards that particular law may change from region to region, because though it is precedent based, but a lot of laws develops or evolves based on the customs, on the sentiments of the people, on the the society they are in, and how the society reacts to those laws and all that. So that has an impact on the evolution of the law as well. So you're correct, like it may be the substratum may be similar, but like eventually if you see the applicability, that changes.
Okay, and that's where you come from.
Yes, absolutely. Like if they have like done something, some maybe their companies are incorporated, they have secured all the licenses, all the regulations as per their homeland, but like that will not work because the jurisdiction changes. The moment the jurisdiction changes, then you have to obtain this or secure similar type of licenses, similar type of like regulations. Basically, you have to comply with those regulations based on the the country where you are setting up your business, the home country. Now the home country has changed for the business. It's no longer your home country, it's now Canada. So based on the Canadian laws, you have to now articulate your processes, your regulations, your compliances, everything.
So generally your clients based outside of Canada, Mr. Roy, are they aware of these changes or these kind of differences between Canada and outside of Canada?
Most often than not, like the entrepreneurs and the business owners that we deal with, they are pretty well read and well traveled people. So, and they have been running their businesses for quite some time now. So they do understand, like, yes, as I mentioned, the spirit may be same, but the applicability and the process or the procedures changes. So, and they know, they do understand, like, they need an expert, like, in order to handhold them throughout this process, so that, like, by the time they have established the business and intend to scale it up, they need, like, we act more like the flag bearers for them, or the torch bearers, just showing them the path, like, okay, these are the things that needs to be done at this stage, and these are the things that needs to be avoided, which should not be done, basically.
Dave, let our viewers know exactly what this Matrix organization that you run is about.
As a business owner, we find ourselves in a very interesting position in the ecosystem. So on one hand, we have entrepreneurs, and we have business owners and potential investors who are outside of Canada and are trying to find and look for projects and startups that are meaningful, because there is that dual intent of investing into something meaningful, which would potentially give them a pretty solid ROI. But at the same time, the other intent is to move to Canada and stay here permanently. So keeping in mind that dual intent, we work with immigration lawyers, we work with registered immigration consultants, and we help their clients, who could be business owners, investors, and potential entrepreneurs who want to start something in Canada. So we work with them, and we provide the right business strategy that's needed for them to navigate through this complex process. Because as you may know, that moving to Canada and starting something, like, it's easier said than done. So you have to navigate through so many things. Like, there are the immigration complexities, then understanding the landscape, the business landscape, like whether like a certain product will work here or not. Something might be a big hit in a region like India or Turkey for that matter, but it is not necessary that it will work in India. So there is that whole market research. There is understanding the product market fit. So there is the immigration piece, helping them understand the business piece. Then, if Abhijit can jump in and throw in some light on, the corporate setup, the tax structure, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like, as like Dave rightly mentioned, like, there are so many pieces, like, in this, like, you have to factor all of these pieces together for the success of that business owner or of that particular entity in Canada. So, like, there is the immigration piece which is involved, which is very important, because that identifies or justifies how and under what route or the pathway they can move their company to Canada. Second, the business consulting, because that requires a lot of focus group surveys and a lot of, like, I would say the analytics as well, because understanding the work product and whether that work product is good enough for the North American ecosystem is very important. Thirdly, the corporate structure. Like, if you don't have the right corporate structure in place, and if you are not aware of the nuances and the compliances, then it becomes a challenge, because eventually you will hit a roadblock, and you're already just starting off. The last thing that you want is a legal roadblock for your company or for your work product. The fourth is, like, the taxation. The taxation, the numbers, the percentage, the slabs, that varies up, like, from every jurisdiction to the other. So they need to understand as an incorporation, like, what are the taxation liabilities that they would be incurring based on their turnovers and the EBITDA, basically. Also, talking about that, they also need to understand about the real estate laws, because, like, if they're targeting a particular region to set up their corporate offices, they need to understand what are the complications from the property taxes, the rentals, the any other taxes which comes like becomes a byproduct of that particular property. So they need to understand that piece as well. Similar is the case with the banking. The banking here works very differently as opposed to the banking which works in the other part of the world. So they need to understand the ecosystem and the banking landscape per se for a seamless functioning of their business. So these are the elements which they definitely need to understand, and which is what we provide. Like it's more like a one-stop shop for all their situations, all their concerns under one roof.
So what I would like to say is
Yeah.
that it is not just whatever has been talked about.
Mhm.
It's not just limited to. Like there's just so much more.
Yeah.
So like that's why I said like we find ourselves in a very interesting position. So assuming that Matrix is like the central node to help potential founders, entrepreneurs, business owners that want to come here, like we are the central node. If they work with us, and we give them access to everything that was just being talked about. So it's a one-stop shop.
One-stop shopping for you.
Yeah.
Now, coming to you mentioned about helping up, starting in. It's a very complex procedure to start from A to N to Z. Do you also help businesses arranging these startup funds financially?
Yes, of course. Like so, how it happens is like when the first stage is the establishment.
Mhm.
The second is the continuity. The third is the scalability.
Okay.
So the first is the establishment. So most often than not, when we are talking about at least the Canadian landscape and North America, it's difficult to find investments or investors putting in money into a company which is just trying to establish or like getting a foothold into this particular market. But when you reach to that stage of like continuity of business, which usually happens for most of the companies after 2 to 3 years, at that stage you're positioned well, basically. So that stage we actually help them connect with private investors and angel investors as well. Help them with the documentation and everything. Help them with the pitch presentation as well, the elevator pitch as well, and so that like at least they get a good shot at them, like to secure some additional funding. Because for most of the companies, and like until and unless it's a great company which has already been established for a number of years, for most companies they are all bootstrapped. So like, and it's pretty difficult, like when it's a bootstrap company, to like to run the show all by yourself with the same money that you're holding in the reserve. If there is some extra corpus that you get, that really helps. So that's what we try to do as well.
That's great. How do you gain trust of your clients in handling their business, financial business?
So I think Roy is already looking at me, so I'll probably take this one. So we've built Matrix, block by block. So when we started off, we never claimed that we did everything. So over the last 5 years, we've figured out like all the pieces that what's required, what's not required, what's necessary, what's being overdone. And we've always been honest with whoever we've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
We've given them the most honest advice. And we've never claimed that we know it all. So that's one of the reasons we have like several experts that work with us. Like if there's a corporate law advice that's required, we will defer it to the corporate lawyer. If there's an intellectual property advice that's required, then we defer it to the IP lawyer. Like similarly, like if there's funding advice that's required, then we bring in that person that can work with that team, right? And the trust has organically developed over the years. It's because of us being honest with ourselves first, and then being honest to the client and directing them to the right person.
Okay, I agree.
Right, and what's happened is phenomenal over the years, because I think what the business really grows is when clients refer other clients.
Mm-hmm.
Because we never had a lot of money to market the services or even establish credibility, right? Because some client at some point thought that we did a good job, and then now we've found those funds to have this interview with you. Right.
No, I totally
Actually,
agree.
adding on to what Dave said, like our fundamentals, like our motto has always been like just one. Like one is like we have always been like we have been on the other side of the table once, so we do understand the pain points. So we do understand the jitters, the anxiousness that a person may be going through when they're moving. Not only they're moving their families, but they're moving their entire businesses, uprooting from one place to the other and setting it up here. Second, one thing is very important in the service industry that you have to understand, like you're not dealing with a product, you're dealing with humans.
Yes.
So that human touch is very important. So we do add that human touch, and that's something that's helped us.
Since you just said dealing with the human, now, Mr. Roy, let's say if there is a firm, international firm already established in India, and they're looking to open up a branch here or expand into Canada. And there are some clients, like myself, I know I'm talking for myself, I don't want to deal on phone. I want to talk to in person, and then discussing my business requirements and needs. If your firm, based in Canada only, can help, if anybody requiring help face-to-face in India?
Yeah, absolutely. Because talking about like our, like when we are talking about like the lawyers, the consultants, the analysts that like we refer cases, like those who work with us, it's not like those who work, they are all outside people. They're part of the team. Like it's all one head under one matrix, they work together. So we have a team of like 41, 42 people, and that is also across geos. We have a team in India, we have a solid team in Dubai, now we have a team in China as well, and we have team members here, because like as we understand, like in a service industry, the services needs to be literally for the clients, the service provider needs to be available 24/7.
Yes.
We do understand that. So that's one of the reasons why like if somebody wants to have a face-to-face meeting, like they can at least choose the region, like either they are directly in that region or somewhere in the periphery of that region, so that they can have a one-on-one conversation. And like any which way, like these days, like everything is accessible. Like we can go to a common ground, they can come to a common ground as well. We have done multiple meetings around that as well. So many clients have asked us like, why did you choose this model of having teams across geos? Because we've said, and we have always said, the light needs to be on every time. Even when we are sleeping, you need to be served.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why people also ask us like, why don't you guys do you guys at all rest? And the answer is honest, like the day you hear us rest, we would be not resting, we would be resting in peace. So you are just working. You're just working.
This is great. So you heard them, folks. This matrix is available 24/7.
Yes, pretty much.
Over the web, over the phone, or in person as well.
Yes.
This is great. And the honesty is the best policy. So I love about that. Now, who is your best, or who is your good client? How do you get your clientele?
Well, I'll let that Dave answer this one.
So we've mostly relied on a B2B channel, like a business to business channel, because I think it works out well. Because I think B2C for us would be difficult, because then we would be spending more time qualifying the client, right?
Yes.
I think one of the reasons why we choose to work with immigration lawyers and registered immigration consultants is because they help us qualify a potential client even before they pass them on to us, because that initial qualification is required. Because then I see I just find the process efficient, because I, as a business consulting firm, I don't want to spend more time on something that's not my forte.
Yes.
Right? I would rather spend that time doing something else, like that helps those potential clients from a business standpoint. So, and that's been our policy, to completely rely on B2B channels and B2B partnerships. Like divided work and designated people doing their portion is the best policy. Yes. And that's worked out very well.
I agree.
And also, like, just adding on to what Dave said, like why we have chose this B2B is also there is one more reason also to it, because most of the documents that is being transported from that particular region to us, some are like in vernacular language, and we are not the experts in that. So there needs to be somebody out there before us who needs to scrutinize and examine those documents and confirm, like, okay, they are exactly in the form and manner and they're meeting the Canadian standards. So that's also one of the reasons why we work with these people, and like that can be the law firms, the registered immigration consultant, big capital investment companies, big investment companies, otherwise, and like all those companies, because they have their own scrutiny, they have their own set of team, those who scrutinize and examine the documents, which is why that gives us that added layer of comfort. And that also creates that added layer of safety net for everybody.
Because you have to realize that, the buck stops with immigration. Like you can't negotiate with the IRCC, right? So it's important that we are able to knock out at least the fundamental things beforehand, before we even kickstart the next step, right? So. There's no negotiation. I think the way IRCC has evolved over the last 5 years, I think sometimes it's the most generous admin body. Sometimes it's not. But then we have to just respect the admin body the way it is. So keeping that in mind is just important to be mindful that whether someone who's trying to move here, whether they meet the parameters of immigration or not.
And also that's very important, because when we are talking about these admin bodies and the regulations in Canada, it's not the person who is doing the talking. It's not the clients or us who is standing there before those officers and doing the talking. It is their paperwork that is doing the talking. So, so that needs to be very neat and well stitched.
So what are some of the legal pitfalls that business entrepreneurs faces when they want to expand the business here in Canada? Can you tell us that?
So one of the, I think I would just take a portion of it and then Abhijit can obviously add on. So one of the critical pitfalls that we've seen early on is without having a full understanding of the market itself.
Yes.
Like someone is trying to launch a product. So what they've missed is they've missed the validation step.
True.
So they haven't validated that whether their product has a market fit. If they haven't done that, because they're probably thinking that something's working in their native country and is working beautifully. They've clocked in millions of dollars, but they suddenly realize that maybe they've, out of overconfidence or whatsoever reason, they've overlooked that step and they've entered a market where the product is no longer working, is no longer relevant. So then the entire journey of someone trying to move here through the immigration, through the business consulting, setting up the structure, there's a lot of money spent, but for nothing.
Waste of time.
So I think market validation is very important. It's critical. It's key to the success of the business. If a business is not doing that, then I think they are setting themselves up for failure.
Okay. Now, just to have a better understanding of metrics, do you have packages available for international entrepreneurs?
Yes, absolutely. You need to have packages. Not only packages, we have programs which talks about even each program has packages. As I said, consulting business pretty much starts with the establishment to the continuity to the scalability. It has 3 stages basically. So for each program that is applicable, there may be some entrepreneurs or business owners who would be just interested in establishment of the company. Thereafter, they think they're good enough, and that, which is very true as well. They're good enough to take it forward from there. Perfectly fine. Works very well for us, very well for them as well. So, but like identifying at the first stage, at the inception, what is the program that they qualify for? Because just bringing a particular product and trying to establish your company in Canada is one aspect of it. But like under which program or pathway your company qualifies or your work product qualifies, that's a question of mood again. So it's us who, based on the understanding on the conversation that we strike with the clients, we suggest like these are the programs and this is the pathway that is available for your business and for the work product that you're focusing on. Like say, for example, I'll give us, for instance, if something is highly innovative and those guys haven't done much in their home country, but they think like that innovation is such which can have more penetration and prominence in the North America and the US region. So that's the reason why they want to move their company right away to Canada. In that case, since it's not an established company already, they don't have revenues back home. So then the program will be different. Then there is a separate program called the Starter Visa program. They qualify under that, whereby the Canadian government is willing to accept them or like willing to allow them to come and like establish their businesses in Canada. However, the two elements that they're looking for is like, one, there needs to be an innovation piece in that particular offering. Secondly, the intent. Then the intention should be of continuity of business. If these two factors or like elements have been have been checked in, then pretty much you're good for like you qualify for that particular program. Imagine there are pathways, say for example, like the C11, C12, where you already have an established company outside Canada and which has a like decent amount of turnover, like maybe 1 million, 3 million, 5 million, something. And you are intending to open maybe an associate office, branch office, sister concern in Canada, then the programs are different. So it's not only the programs changes, every program has that packages as well. Like to what extent do they need the handholding?
So if someone has a business already running in Dubai and they're trying to expand here, they come to you, Mr. Roy. I have a clothing brand already established running in Dubai. I want to expand it in Canada.
Exactly.
So then your role comes to which package will they?
Which program? Which program is like something that we would suggest, like maybe you are it's not a very good case or a fit case for starter visa program because you're a clothing brand. So the innovation comes like it's very hard to identify and to prove that like it is a very innovative product. You're coming up with a clothing which is similar to a PPE product, which can be worn anywhere. Like it's very stylish as well as it can be worn in hospitals as well. so that's innovation. But if that's not the case, if that innovation isn't there, then you qualify for other programs like the international mobility programs or other business immigration programs, which does not talk about the innovation. It talks about only your business already having a presence in your home country, and now you're moving your company as it is to Canada, either in the form of the format may change. Maybe you're opening a branch office or a sister concern or an associate office, but nonetheless, you already have an existence in your back home, in your home country. So the program has changed. You understand?
Yes.
But when you're talking about the elements that the process pretty much depends upon the client. Like even for a under the international mobility program, if they say that like, okay, we need your support only to the extent of the establishment, then all the paperwork, all the regulations, nuances that needs to be done for their establishment. So the moment they land in Canada, we are absolved. The contract is over.
Okay.
If they say like, okay, we need this program, but like it needs to go beyond the establishment, like that is the continuity stage. Then the paperwork and everything, then we have to handhold them to a tune of like maybe another 2 years or 3 years till they have established firmly in Canada. And if they're talking about like scalability, then we sign a full contract, which can be like for a longer period, more like a retainer basis. And it just goes on till the time they have raised funds and till the time they have actually canceled the contract, saying like, okay, now we are good. Now we don't need your services person. We are good. Like we will be able to handle ourselves.
So you're working with the client as per his requirement and
Absolutely.
businesses, and just making sure that all the requirements are met.
Absolutely.
Once
The programs are something that we suggest based on the expertise that we hold. But when we are talking about the processes and which product they want to know, they want that squarely depends upon the client. You cannot walk in, like you walk into a restaurant, they may suggest you items, but you would only choose the ones that's suitable to your taste buds.
So like, just to clarify something, like the assessment, like, you know, what the, we can just edit this, right? So what I'm trying to say is the assessment that which client would work well with which program. So that assessment is not something that we do.
Okay.
So that assessment is done by the lawyers and by the registered immigration consultants.
Okay.
So they have the capacity to make that assessment at their level. So once we get the green flag from them, that is when we have like set formats from a purely business consulting standpoint, that, you know, how can we now help these clients who've now been qualified for X program or Y or Z. So that assessment comes from them, like I mentioned before, because we don't take the responsibility of making the assessment because we are not allowed, and we would like to respect that. But at the same time, I think once they have been assessed and qualified, that is when we take up the matter and take it forward.
Yeah, so your job comes after the assessment has been completed.
Yes.
You are there to offer them the what kind of program they're suitable for, qualify for, and then you offer them and they take it from there. Now, coming to end of this segment today, I want everyone to know where exactly your offices are located. Is only in Canada or outside of Canada as well?
No, we are we have our presence in Dubai as well, and in Shanghai as well, like China as well. We're planning to office more, open more offices, but it's all in a very initial stages of conversation, I would say. But as of now, we have 3 offices across.
So how can people learn more about your company? What is your contact information?
So if you log into our website, actually, it has all the informations out there, like the contact information, our the QR codes, the mobile number, the emails, everything is pretty much descriptive, and also the elements or the programs and the processes and the products that we were discussing just right now. All those products have been set out in detail out there, including the testimonials of our existing clients, those who have been already served and they are successfully running their businesses or successfully now established themselves in Canada. So those are also out there. So anybody who actually looks into our website will get a complete high-level picture about what we do, what we are into, and how we can help them.
So let's just end this segment today. And once again, just to recap everything, if you are looking for establishing or starting up any business in Canada, Matrix is the one who will provide you with all the resources, all the legalities, all the consultation is available by Matrix. Thank you so much again, Dave and Mr. Roy, for sharing this valuable information with our immigrants.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.